After my 16 female mother died, my father had a one-night stand with a woman who ended up getting pregnant with twins. At the time, I was 4 years old. He ended up not staying with the kids, saying it was all an accident, but he created an account to help raise the boys financially. My grandma did not accept the situation well and considers them, 12 male and 12 male, as grandchildren and keeps in touch. My grandma told me that when I was 12, and I was curious to meet my half-brothers. At the time, they were 8 years old and lived in another city, and their mother agreed to let us keep in touch. For years, we talked by video call and became very close. Although we never met in person, I love my brothers very much. One detail is that they do not know who their father is, and who I and Grandma really is. Their mother asked me to keep it a secret so that they would not expect to have a father present or anything like that, and I respected it, although I didn't agree. My father knew that I was talking to them, but he never said anything. The fact is, their mother died the end of last year due to health reasons. Since my brothers had no legal guardians, they are not registered as my father's children. They ended up going to a temporary home, and most likely they'll go to an orphanage or something. Because of that, I ended up losing contact with them. They don't have a cell phone, and I usually talk to them through their mother. Our family is in good financial shape. We live in a big house. My father has a stable job, and we live very well. Earlier in the year, he and his girlfriend called me to ask me what I thought about having a new family member. They said they are thinking of adopting a child. I was overjoyed. I was thinking that my father had finally decided to adopt his children, but it is obviously not what they wanted. They want to adopt a baby or small child to grow the family. I was furious. My dad already has 2 super loving kids who just need love and a family. My brothers just lost their mother, and they have no idea that they have a father who has the full capacity to give them a decent life. I think this is totally unfair, mainly because at their age, it is almost impossible to find a family to adopt older twins. I took my father to my room, privately, and told him how much I think he is an a-hole for everything he did with my brothers, and mainly for wanting to adopt a child now, when he has 2 children who need one family to take care of them. I must have been talking so loud that his girlfriend heard it. I don't know if it was really that or she was eavesdropping. She didn't know about my brothers. And after the argument, they broke up. Now, my dad and some family members are calling me an a-hole because I acted that way. I don't think I was the a-hole of the situation, and my grandmother agrees. But it's up to you to judge. Not the a-hole. If I were the girlfriend and I found out that my partner had abandoned 2 of his sons, I would leave him too. Not the a-hole. Oh my God, I felt extremely angry just reading this post. How can a human being be such an a-hole, to not use other words, as to abandon 2 children who need him and still want to adopt another one? You are completely not the a-hole. If it were I would do a lot worse. About the end of this relationship, it was not your fault, and even if it was, you still wouldn't be the a-hole. The woman deserved to know what kind of man she was getting involved with. Not the a-hole. It's natural for you to want your father to take care of his responsibilities. The girlfriend dumping him isn't your fault. He lied to her about the other children, and that's on him. Me, 25 female, and my brother, Jay, 25 male, haven't been close since we were kids due to a series of bad decisions he did. One of those stupid things he did was to get his 15-year-old girlfriend pregnant when he was 14, who ended up dying in childbirth and leaving a couple of twins for our family to take care of. Yes, he had education and knew how to prevent it. As I said, bad decisions in life. Our parents had some money, but even so, they had to work hard to raise the kids who suddenly appeared in our lives. Me and Jay used to study at a private school. Here, private schools are better than public ones, and public universities are better than private ones. But with all the situation, my brother had to go to a public one to use the money to raise the newborns, while I stayed in a private one. I went to a public university in the same city and continued to live with my parents, while Jay got a full-time job and went to live rent-free with my nephews in one of the apartments that my parents rented. Then, last year our parents died in an accident, and because of all the complications of the funeral and everything else, my brother and my nephews started to live with me. The house became mine, and I am the one paying all the bills and food of all. I love my nephews, and having them around again is a great thing. Especially now that everyone has to stay home and I don't have my parents with me anymore. They are like younger siblings to me. I don't know if it's some lockdown effect, but Jay started to make everything to piss me off. He keeps saying that I was the favorite daughter, since I was able to study at a private school. I took most of the inheritance, 45% mine, 35% him, and 20% my nephew's. And that I am a snob for not trying to hide the fact that I am in a good college, while he works hard to support his children. The limit was when he told the twins that if they acted like good kids, maybe I could favor them like my parents did to me. Our parents were never unfair to us. If in any way I had anything more than him, it was because my parents had to manage the money to raise his children. And I just can't stand it when Jay makes fun of our parents' efforts. I was so mad that I yelled at him that if he hadn't been so stupid to try to act like an adult when he was just 14, maybe he could become the successful person he thinks I am. And that since he is so uncomfortable with the way that our parents raised us, if he did not prefer that the children were not born, since all he did not have was to raise the twins. The fact is that yesterday, Jay left the house with the children in quarantine and went to the house of an aunt, who started calling me saying that I was an a-hole with him and the children, and that I should support my brother as he is a single parent of 2 children. I didn't want them to leave the house, quite the opposite, but I don't regret what I said. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your brother made decisions in his life that led him to where he is now. As for the inheritance, he got more than you. He got 55% altogether, counting what was left for the nephews, whom he is in charge of raising. Not the a-hole. Your brother's interpretation of the situation is skewed, and you're right to call him out on it. Your parents have helped him substantially by helping provide for his children, and I'm guessing watched them a lot while he was in school or at work, and he is really undervaluing how much they've done for him. And while I get that he's resentful that he didn't get the same education opportunities as you don't have even remotely the same responsibilities that he does, because he became a parent very young. He doesn't have the luxury to go off to school and live a normal, minimally encumbered young adult life. He's a father, and his children and their needs come first. Not the a-hole. You were already supporting them financially by allowing them to live with you for free and paying for food, bills. He was the one who started picking fights. Should have just kept quiet. Also, you didn't even kick them out. He chose to leave. Okay, this happened last night, and to be honest, I feel a little bad about how I reacted, but let me know if you think my reaction was justified. My husband, 34 male, and I, 32 male, have been married for over 5 years. We have a beautiful daughter, 3, who we adopted 2 years ago and means the world to us. We decided this past year to start a journey via surrogacy. Since I have a low sperm count, it is my husband's sperm and an egg donor, a friend of ours. Our surrogate is 7 months pregnant, and we threw a gender reveal party. Unfortunately, our surrogate couldn't be with us because she lives in Canada, but via Zoom. The party gathered close friends and immediate family. My in-laws were there. It turned out to be a boy, and my in-laws suggested that we pick names right there. I've already chosen one, but as I didn't want to destroy their happiness, I let them suggest names to see if they could come out with the name. I've already chosen one, but as I didn't want to destroy their happiness, I let them suggest names to see if they come out with the name I've already chosen, but didn't, and instead suggested names that I don't like. They only suggested to name our baby after their fathers. It was something like Peter Jeremiah. I have nothing against people named like that, but I don't really like it for my child. I told them that we'd think about it, but they insisted on picking one. After insisting so much, I told them that I've already picked one, and mother-in-law said, "Well, it doesn't matter. My son has the last say." I said, "Sorry?" Then father-in-law replied, "Yeah, my son has more rights to name the baby since he is the real dad." I was furious, and my husband was petrified, so I didn't let them explain what they said. Grabbed their arms and kicked them out. My husband got back to reality and said, "They are my parents, and this wasn't the way." And as you can guess, I ruined the party. Everyone left, and after that, my husband apologized for what his parents did. This morning, mother-in-law called my husband and stated that she was so disappointed about my behavior and that I hurt her by what I did. Sister-in-law says I was far disrespectful and overreacted since I didn't give them time to explain themselves. So, am I the a-hole? Did I overreact? Funny how she didn't think to mention how invalidating your fatherhood might have hurt you. But seriously, while you're not the a-hole, I do think kicking them out is a bit of an overreaction. They just need a quick, "You may have some backwards and antiquated beliefs," But that's not how our family is going to work. You don't have to like our beliefs, but you have to respect them. Not the a-hole. That mother-in-law said some very hurtful things and is now refusing to apologize. Also, what right does she have to name your kids? If your husband also already agreed to the name, she should have no issues and butt out. I am a 28-year-old male and my girlfriend is 26 female. We've been together for about 6 months and I have loved every minute of it. This incident happened yesterday. I have a passion for watches and I consider myself a collector. For context, I come from a wealthy background, and though I was able to create a business with a friend after college, things have really popped for us over the last 3 years through a combination of hard work, over 100 hours a week for the first 2 years, and luck. As of right now, my partner and I both stand to make about 8 figures this year. I'm doing well, but I also prefer to save rather than spend if I can. I was always taught the age-old cliche that money talks, but wealth whispers. I live in a nice but relatively modest house in a great family neighborhood. It feels like home to me, so it's all I really need. The only things that I really put money into are my passions, watches, golf, and music gear. So she and I are getting ready to go meet her parents, who are in from out of state on their way to their vacation. This was the first time I met them, so I was a little nervous. My girlfriend works as a trainer and comes from a solid middle-class family. She said her dad is a very hard worker, but he could sometimes be a bit tough with new guys. So we get ready to go meet them at the restaurant, which was a perfectly nice place by the beach, and I threw on a pair of nice shorts and a polo, along with my daily watch, which is a Rolex Batman GMT that I've had for 4 years. Putting it on is habitual. I don't really think about it. When we got to the restaurant, we exchanged greetings and got to our table. Everything was going good. Halfway through, her dad glances down at my wrist and asks to see the watch I had. I took it off and handed it to him, and he looked at it for a second and just goes, "Do you expect me to be impressed by this?" I asked him what he meant, and he just says, "This stuff may be impressive to your people, but my daughter isn't some trophy for you to flaunt. I'm not going to let my daughter get close to you just for you to get tired of her and leave her heartbroken. I know you're kind." I had more than enough. I told him he knows nothing about me or my character. We left the restaurant. I got pretty worked up on the drive home. She kept telling me that it wasn't my fault and she's never seen him act like that before. But then she said, "I guess you can't wear a watch around him." That got me thinking. Was I the a-hole here? Should I have not worn the watch since it was a first meeting? Was I wrong for getting up and leaving? I know I wasn't trying to prove anything to the guy. I was just wearing something that I always do. But then I started thinking that I must have not read the room properly. I feel terrible about what happened. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend's dad is a tool. If you were waving it around in his face, that would be one thing, but just wearing it on your wrist is another. People offended by this says more about them than it does about you. Not the a-hole. It's not your fault that he has an enormous chip on his shoulder. Sorry that your girlfriend's dad is a jerk. Hope things can get smoothed over. But guys like that aren't known for their apologies. I feel bad for your girlfriend, but it would have been nice if she stuck up for you. Not the a-hole. You're in for trouble here. Not only is girlfriend's dad a grade A a-hole who thinks he can slap you around, but girlfriend believes the answer is to not wear an expensive watch around him. Like that alone would solve the problem of her dad being a jerk. Very much doubt it. Update. Alright, so this was actually a pretty quick turnaround. So the girlfriend just got to my house from work, and she was already on the phone with her parents on the drive talking about last night. She came inside and put him on speaker, and he apologized to both for everything that happened last night. He told me that when he was younger, his sister dated and very much loved a pretty wealthy guy. Apparently, this guy cheated on his sister. They're very close, constantly, and was incredibly emotionally A. Basically, he said he knew about my background and was okay with it, but when he saw the watch, it reminded him of that guy and all of the bad memories, and he just lost it. He said he's willing to give this another try if I am, because he said he saw how happy his daughter was before it all went sideways. I accepted his apology and agreed that we'll give it another go, and they'll stop and visit us on their return trip. He seemed pretty sincere and remorseful. I also apologized and told him I should have read the room better, but he brushed that off and told me not to worry. Honestly, I couldn't be more relieved because I really do care about this person and I want everything to be as happy as possible.